Well, good afternoon and welcome to Condé's 2009 Budget Podcast. I'm Dougie Payton and we're going to look at the main implications of the budget on individuals and businesses. I'm here with my tax strategist colleague Scott Halsey, and we think the main headline from this budget is there's a tax giveaway to certain businesses paid for by a triple tax whammy, mainly on the higher income. Yeah. So Scott, what are the main economic headlines from this budget?
Well, I mean, as you can imagine, the economy at the moment is in a dire mess. Even the government are saying that their growth estimates at the pre-budget report stage were incorrect by some tens of billions of pounds. The forecasting, however, that by 2011 everything will be, well, not rosy in the garden, but improved to the extent that the economy is going to grow by 3.5%. IMF are disagreeing with that slightly in the sense that they're looking at a 0.3% growth rate in 2011 instead of a 3.5% one. All of this really means that taxes are going to rise in the medium term.
So Scott, if all this means there's going to be higher taxes in the future, what can individuals and businesses be doing now to plan for this?
What you want to be doing is good housekeeping, using your annual exemptions and any reliefs you may have. And much as it pains me, it may actually pay you to crystallise a gain and pay some tax now, because you can bet that the 18% capital gains tax rate will probably rise in the future on certain types of assets. I know the Tories are talking about a 0% tax rate, but only in assets held for more than 10 years. So really, what we should try to do now is wash out all gains prior to the expected increases in tax, or otherwise emigrate.
So how about longer term planning, Scott? Is there anything that people can be doing now in a more long term?
Longer term, what you can think of, really what you want to try and do is defer the gains until such time as the tax rates start to go down. So you can use a device, something like the Enterprise Investment Scheme, where you can roll a capital gain into that and just keep rolling it into the EIS shares until such time as you decide that you're going to crystallise the gain. You can also use things like loss. You can defer the use of losses, perhaps by not crystallising any other gain until such time as they're actually worth more. Maybe when you feel that the cycle of higher tax rates has been reached. So that's the sort of thing you can do.
So Scott, we mentioned earlier this triple tax whammy for those on the higher income bracket. What's actually involved in that?
The triple whammy is going to hit persons with taxable income in excess of £150,000. The first part is the loss of your personal allowance, which is worth about £6,500 in 2009-2010. The second part is an increase in the tax rate from 40 to 50% for the income in excess of £150,000, and the last part is the loss of your 40% tax relief on your personal pension contributions. The important thing to realise here, though, is that it's a tax on income and not capital gains. Capital gains tax, the maximum rate will still be 18%. After the changes which will take place from 6 April 2010 onwards. So really what the advice would be, I think, is for people to consider moving into a capital gains tax environment, if possible. That there are some sort of mooted changes to the taxability of offshore funds. I don't know whether it's going to be a voluntary system or not, but certainly there's going to be more of a capital gains tax element possible there.
So Scott, you mentioned there the loss of higher rate tax relief on pension contributions. Would it make a difference if your pension contribution was made through a company?
Well, yeah, you would still get relief through a company. The rate of relief would depend on the size of the company. You had the size of your taxable profits. You would get typically 21% as a small company. Marginal rates of tax between 300,000 and 1.5 million. You would get 29.75% on your pension contribution. So therefore, it might be an incentive to make a contribution through your company instead of as an individual. So you may want to come to us and we can do the number crunching there for you.
So most of us use ISAs as a way of saving, Scott. Have there been many changes to the ISA regime?
Okay, they've announced an increase in the ISA limit, the per annum limit to £10,200, of which £5,100 can be in cash. Now, if you're over 50, that change will take place with effect from 6th of October 2009. For everyone else, it'll be 6th of April 2010. Again, there are some that suggest that using an ISA is a better method of saving for retirement than pensions, purely because of the flexibility and the fact that the growth's tax-free.
So it sounds like an area to take some advice on.
Certainly. We have a separate and individual arm called Condy's Wealth Management that would enable you to come in and have your financial affairs reviewed, and if you decide that you want to save a wee bit more for your retirement, then ISA is certainly something we can help you with.
So Scott, we've heard a lot from the budget so far on individuals and changes to tax rates and reliefs. What about businesses? What's in the budget for small, medium-sized, large businesses?
Well, a return to first year allowances at a 40% rate. The annual investment allowance allows you to spend £50,000 and get 100% allowances on that, but the government come back and said, look, you can get an additional 40% if you spend more than £50,000, mind you, which could be a lifeline for light manufacturing businesses, anyone that uses a lot of plant machinery. Having said that, though, there are 100% capital allowances for green assets. So if you're able to buy green assets off the government list, then you'll get 100% allowances anyway, without touching the 40% first year allowance or the annual investment allowance for that matter. The other big announcement is an extension of the loss carryback scheme. This was announced at the pre-budget, and essentially what it means is that instead of just being able to carry back for 1 year, the losses that a company makes in the year to 31st March 2010 can be carried back for another 2 years, albeit that they're limited to £50,000 in the second and third years of the carryback.
So we've all benefited, Scott, from the reduction of VAT in recent months. What news was there on VAT?
Well, the VAT rate will increase to 17.5% from 15% with effect from 1st January 2010. The bad news is that you can't, there are going to be anti-avoidance provisions in there to stop you invoicing everything 31st December 2009. So beware of that. You may want to get in touch with us just to make sure you're not inadvertently breaking the rules there.
So a lot in the budget then, Scott. Anything else of note that you think we should mention?
Well, I mean, something for the accountants out there, the revenue have come and the Treasurer are trying to impose penalties on senior accounting officers for large businesses now. That's the statutory definition of that is reasonably large companies with balance sheets in excess of 10 million, I think, something like that. But there will be personal penalties if the accounting records of those companies are not adequate to work out the tax provision. Now, what that actually means in practice, we don't know yet, but it sounds like another sort of creeping old customs power getting into the mix there. So we'll see what happens, but it sounds quite scary for anyone out there that's a finance director of a reasonably large company or group.
Thank you for watching our 2009 budget podcast. We hope you found this to be interesting and informative. And please, if you do have any questions, please do contact us by email, by phone, and contact details are available on our website.